Before listening, continuity discrepancies may have arisen between the main narrative and these short stories, since they were first serialized. Furthermore, this collection features an excessively high usage of the word breasts. Please keep it out of the ears of small children. This may sound like a strange thing to admit, but I had no idea what to do with the two objects sitting directly in front of me. I was staring at a pair of tits. Yeah, you heard me right. They were most definitely breasts. Two perfectly round, exquisitely soft boobs, and they were staring right back at me. Should I suck on them? First, let me explain how I found myself in this situation. I've been sent to the infirmary after feeling unwell during PE class. Unfortunately, the school nurse was out, so I decided to lie down on one of the beds and wait for her return. I guess I dozed off for a bit, because when I opened my eyes, those snow-like breasts were positioned directly before me. I knew this chest well. I mean, to be fair, the only breasts I've ever seen in person were my mother's and this person's. I glanced around, confirming the face of the young woman that they belonged to. She was sound asleep, my crimson-haired outer sister like Prez. Why was she resting beside me? And why was she naked? Not only that, but her black demon wings were hanging down behind her back. Prez. Had she let her guard down when she was asleep? I found myself sharing a bed with a Prez before too. I won't go into details here, but trust me, it happened. She had been completely naked on that occasion as well. That beautiful scene before me engraved in my memory, filed away for prosperity. Yeah, saved forever my permanent storage. I brought it out every now and then to help quell my raging adolescence. I would never have expected that this could happen again so soon. And the way she was positioned, it was like she was trying to hug my head in her sleep. I could all but feel my nose brushing against those wonderful breasts. They were incredible. They felt so soft. Damn it, I was tearing up. Such glorious treasures were positioned right in front of me, and I couldn't lift a finger to touch them. Would I have to make do with nose contact only? It was at that moment the Prez slightly opened her eyes. Oh, Issei. Fa. Her mouth opened in a wide yawn. Prez, what exactly? Why? My heart raced as I tried to order my thoughts to get out of question. The Prez wrapped her arms around my head, stroking it softly. I was tired, so I thought I'd take a nap in the nurse's office. When I found you, I decided to intrude on your rest a little. Intrude? I didn't know how to respond. Wow, so that whole situation unfolded while I was asleep? Did I bother you? No, not at all. You're the best. I don't really know how to put it. Did she bother me? No way. I was moved to tears. But I mean, isn't stripping naked a little much, for a nap? I can't sleep with clothes on, and I need a pillow or a stuffed animal to hold to really feel at ease. A pillow? A stuffed animal? So my head served as a substitute for one of those? Frankly, that was totally cool with me. The Prez stared intently into my eyes. What is it, Prez? I wondered nervously. Issei, do you like girls' breasts? Without hesitation, I replied, yes, I love them. Obviously. That was my honest opinion. On that one issue alone, I could tell no lie. I was the kind of high schooler who was feud on erotic things. At my response, the Prez flashed me a demonic grin. She brought her face up to my ears. Her crimson hair smelled so good, enough to melt my brain. And then she dealt me a critical blow. Do you want to touch mine? That had to be one of the top 10 must-hear lines from a girl. Her whispering voice had a mysterious energy coursing through my body. I wanted to touch them, fondle them. This was a dream come true for about any guy. My mind was doing somersaults, and then the prez continued. Then, will you do something for me? Of course. What is it? I was ready for anything. If the reward was touching the boobs of this great lady, whatever her wish, I would grant it. As my mind was adrift with lewd thoughts, the press flashed me a grin. Please try to secure a pact with a client. We're here. As he greeted everyone in a lively and energetic tone, she and I made our way straight to the clubroom after class. Oh dear, you're early, you say, Azia? Would you like some tea? Akano said with a warm and bright smile. Ah, Akano, I can see you put your lustrous black hair up in a ponytail today, and your bosom is just as large as ever. Please. No sooner did I give my lively reply than she began to fill the teapot with hot water. The rest of the club members were already present. The prez was seated in the back of the room, sipping on a cup. Hey, Konako, I said to the petite girl, sitting in the corner. Hi. If Akano Konako were to team up with Azia and our school's #1 beauty, Riaz, they would make for our ultimate charming team. They would be invincible. The Occult Research Club was stocked to the brim with hotties. I could think of no greater workplace. It was no exaggeration to say that my real reason for coming here was to hang out with them all. I was so glad I'd become a fellow member. The atmosphere of the clubroom was so clean and delicious. Hi. Another person waved their hand. Kiba. That pretty boy and his refreshing, handsome face never failed to get on my nerves. That cursed guy was the arch nemesis of every other male at the school. Yeah. Hi. I replied vacantly, not bothering to look Kiba's way. Damn pretty boy. Looks like we're all here, the prez stated. In that case, let's get started. We all took our seats on the sofas by the table, with the crimson-haired prez naturally taking the head. And so, the day's regular meeting at the Occult Research Club got underway. The meeting would continue until nightfall, but the first words that come out of the prez's mouth were, I'll accompany Issei today, in a supervisory role. The Occult Research Club's activities were ostensibly just that, studying the occult research here on campus. In short, we supposedly investigated ghosts, monsters, magic, and anything else like that. In reality, though, what we actually did was quite different. To begin with, we were all demons. When the sun set and the darkness blanketed the world, our real work began. A demon's job was to forge pacts with clients who summoned us through magic circles. We granted their wishes and took payments in return. This remittance could take in form of money, material, possessions, or sometimes even a life. These days, few people went out of the trouble of manually drawing a magic circle to call upon a demon. And instead, we handed out leaflets with pre-drawn arrays for them to use. Anyway, back to the meeting. I still hadn't gotten the hang of typical demon work and had yet to make any tangible headway. Truthfully, I hadn't secured a single pact. I felt pathetic. Oh, I was getting jobs. That wasn't the issue. Yet, every single time, some inexplicable problem would arise before I made the pact. And thus, my jobs always ended in failure. Admittedly, I was getting along quite well with the people who summoned me, but seeing as the demon's whole purpose was to forge pacts, having a friendly rapport with clients was meaningless if I couldn't grant their wishes. The prez was clearly worried about my lack of success in that department, which was why she announced that she would be supervising me today. To think that was such a bother to her. What kind of man was I? Even I understood that I was a disappointment. Plus, all the people who summoned me wound up being perverts or deviants. At this rate, my dream of becoming a harem king would never come to fruition. Yeah, you heard me. I had to secure pacts left, right, and center to pull that off, racking up enough results that the demon kings would notice me and grant me a title of my own. Once I became a high-class demon, I would recruit a horde of beautiful women to serve me as my own familia, my harem. I endured a lot of hardship in pursuit of that goal. Reality sure could be cruel. Damn it. I wanted to hold a girl in my arms, to live a life of joyful polygamy. Vulgar thoughts are prohibited. Whoa. Konoko was glaring at me out of the corners of her eyes. Apparently, she possessed some way of recognizing my perverted delusions. She was usually so quiet and reserved, but every now and then, the words that came out of her mouth shocked me to my core. That's a lecherous grin you got there, Kiba remarked coolly. At that moment, something snapped inside me. Shut up, Kiba! Some of us can only enjoy popularity in our imaginations. The only place I get to do anything erotic is my head. So, leave me alone, damn you. You think I don't want to be a good-looking dude too? I wish all you damn pretty boys would just disappear off the face of the earth. Every single primate capable of making a harem is my enemy. I was so angry that tears flooded my eyes. Come on, don't cry. And are you trying to make enemies out of gorillas and chimpanzees? The prez let out a sigh. She stroked my head. If I was popular, I could be a drummer in a death metal band. Why didn't we evolve from gorillas? Even I could tell the words coming out of my mouth didn't make the slightest bit of sense. Thankfully, the way that Prez was stroking my head simply was the best. Having a beautiful girl do something like this for me was enough to melt the pain away from my heart. At that moment, the huge magic circle in the center of the floor abruptly lit up, illuminating the whole room in a pale burst of light. Whenever this happened, it meant someone in town was trying to summon a demon. In other words, a human possessed by greed was trying to summon one of us. In turn, we used this array to jump straight to the location and grant them their wish. That was the demon's job. With a swing of her ponytail, Akano approached the magic circle, holding her hand up to it to see who it was. After a few seconds, she smiled at me and the Prez. President, I believe that Issei will be able to take care of this wish. The Prez nodded. Very well. In that case, let's go, Issei. She took my hand and guided me towards the glowing symbol on the floor. Perez, are we seriously going together? Was she really going to supervise me? If she did, I would be too embarrassed to function normally. The Prez placed a hand on my cheek, her lips curling up in a smile. You're my adorable little servant, Issei. I'll take care of you. Just follow me. That was a cheap move, Prez. If you talk like that, I'll end up becoming dependent on you. Okay, I'll be in your care, I declared, my face reddening. Issei, you can do it. As it cheered me on, the Prez and I disappeared into the light of the magic circle. When the dazzling brightness subsided, I found myself in an unfamiliar room. Based on the layout, I guess we jumped into an apartment. As I glanced around me, I realized the room was filled to bursting with objects related to Japan's Sengoku period, the area of warring states. There were imitation swords complete with scabbards hanging on the walls, posters of castles plastered here and there, and a Fuhrer Kanzen banner written in large, powerful letters. As a fact of wind, as quiet as the forest, as daring as fire, and immovable as the mountain. The shelves were lined with helmets worn by old warlords. What light there was came from a few lanterns and torches. Whoa! I was so taken aback I cried out in shock. Of course I did. I mean, there was a full set of samurai armor looming before me. This was one of those suits of armor complete with a difficult, hard-to-remember name, right? It must have been seriously expensive. And it looked incredibly creepy in the dim illumination. Who exactly had called me and the Prez out here? I glanced around, but couldn't see anyone. As a woman's voice called out quietly, the armor began to move. What? I cried out in alarm. Are you the demons? Someone was staring at me from beyond that helmet's mask. The force of the gaze was really making me feel uneasy. Yet, as oppressive as those eyes were, the voice was the exact opposite. Incredibly cute. Was she seriously a girl? Yeah, we're demons. I nodded, trying to conceal my apprehension. I really did call a demon then. I'm sorry, but I just want to make sure. You are a girl, aren't you? But that was such a shock. To think a real-life demon would have popped out. That was my line. I was the one taking a peck here. What kind of young woman wore a full-body suit of Sengoku period armor? My name is Susan. As you can see, my hobby is collecting items related to the Sengoku period. Susan? A foreigner? Today was just full of surprises. I'm sorry about the way I'm dressed. It's dangerous at night, so sometimes I put on this armor to protect myself. It probably wouldn't have done much good to point out that right now she was the threatening looking one. The basis of any cross-cultural exchange is direct contact with its unique properties. The press commented, nodding in admiration. Oh, hold on. I get the sentiment, but this is clearly something else entirely. This is such a relief. You're a pair of kind-looking demons. If you were a scary one, I might have to use my Kinjin Maru Kunashigi sword on you. Sure enough, Susan was gripping the hilt of a Japanese sword sheathed at her waist. I was the friend one here. Susan was a spooky client. So, why did you summon us, if you don't mind me asking? You have a wish you want granting, right? No sooner did I ask this question than she began to cry. Can you come to the university I attend as an exchange student and help me pick up my notes? Please, I'm so scared of going out at night. Seriously? She was the front one? But I respectfully held my tongue. A figure in a full-body suit of armor was marching down the street in the dark. It was such a bizarre sight. At this rate, my hometown would become a subject of urban ghost stories. The president and I had accepted Susan's wish, and we were escorting her to the university campus. To be honest, I doubted she really needed an escort. Susan was an armored warrior, walking the town after dusk. Her atmosphere and bearing were more imposing than ours. And we demons were supposed to be denizens of the night. Damn it. Why did every single person who summoned me have to be so weird? I had suggested that the president and I go alone to her university to pick up Susan's notes, but that idea only caused her to start crying. No. I couldn't make both of you go by yourselves. I'll tag along. She had insisted. Nonetheless, she sniffled tearfully as she followed behind us. Please don't cry in such a low, growling voice. Her intensity was giving me the creeps. It's a waste to have such a talented individual as a human, the press remarked, curious about Susan's peculiar character. You had better watch out, Susan. A demon has her eye on you. However, Susan was easily frightened and swung her sword around to protect herself when anything upset her. Apparently, she had left a notebook that she needed for tomorrow, somewhere on campus and was in serious trouble. So when she came across a leaflet advertising our demon services, she had taken the opportunity for help. We had already received payment, seeing as it wasn't particularly involved wish. I was happy to do a pro bono, but Susan had insisted on paying. The cost, incidentally, had been a small model castle. I guess we would probably use it to decorate the club room. Akano would no doubt be pleased. We had already sent it back to the base of operations via Magic Circle. Don't be scared. I'm here with you, so hold your head up high, the press said to Susan, trying to encourage her. Thank you. Hold on there, Prez. Wouldn't a bold and confident armored warrior be more terrifying than the one we already have? Hey, isn't that heavy? Wearing all that armor, I mean. I asked. It seemed to me that you would need a lot of physical strength to walk far wearing so much. It couldn't have been easy, no matter who you were. It's no problem. I exercise my armor whenever I have a spare moment. Indoors, of course. In the past, warriors wore their equipment all the time and had to run across the battlefield in it. What good am I if I can't even do that much? Just what are you competing against? You're seriously incomprehensible, Susan. Our nighttime stroll was rapidly approaching its end, as our destination was in sight. Ah, this is my university. See? It's got such a scary atmosphere, don't you think? No, that would be you. Let's go inside. I'm so frightened. Now, our armor-clad client will be lurking in the halls. Just thinking about it gave me the chills. Fortunately, we completed our job without issue. Having successfully retrieved Susan's notebook, the three of us made our way back to her apartment. As soon as the pact was completed, the press settled to reopening the magic circle, so we could return to the club room. Alright, we'll be going now, I said to Susan, waving goodbye. I couldn't help but smile. I had just completed a job after all, and that meant something special. Yeah, I fulfilled my promise to the press. Now that I finished some actual work, she'll let me touch her breasts. When I thought about burying my face in a buxom bosom, my libido skyrocketed. The flames of youth were raging out of control. My eyes were locked on the press's chest for a moment. Right, I would start with the right one. I would fondle it, making concentric circles with my hand. I would relish its weight as my other hand encased the left breast, savoring its tremors. Susan caught out to us meekly. My erotic fantasies melted away. What could it be? The sight of the armored warrior addressing me while fidgeting so nervously was uncomfortable. I know this may be a little ill-mannered to ask, but I have another wish too. Another wish? Did she want to make another pact? I was about to go home and enjoy myself with the Prez's. Of course, we don't mind. My annoyance must have been plain on my face, but the Prez nonetheless readily accepted. Prez, are you saying that we have to put up with another crazy demand from this armored warrior girl? The Prez paid no heed to my tearful, entreating gaze, deactivated the magic circle, and turned her attention back to Susan. I could picture her breast moving farther and farther away. The Prez listened carefully to Susan's new request. Susan, in turn, fretted like an innocent maiden. Actually, there's someone at my university. I'm thinking about taking the plunge, about approaching him. You mean in battle? Don't tell me you want to test your blade on him. No, not that. So I've been mistaken. Her choice of phrase had given the impression that she wanted to attack this person. I like him. He's so clumsy and slow to the uptake. but I want him to know. Ah, so she had a crush on someone. I pictured an old warrior-like person from the Sengoku period, complete with a huge mustache. Yeah, that was the kind of guy an armored woman girl would fall in love with. He probably had a distinctive laugh. Something that sounded akin to Quah. The Prez nodded, flashing Susan a grin. That's a wonderful wish. Very well, we'll assist you. Susan began to all but jump for joy. You will? Thank you. You demons are so kind. Please don't make any sudden movements in that armor. I'm petrified enough as it is. What do you want us to do? Set up an extravagant place so you can confess your feelings? Or do you want us to bewitch him so that he falls in love with you? No. I mean, I want to do it by myself as much as possible. But it's my first time, so I don't know what to do. Susan didn't want to use her demon powers to win her crush by force. She wanted to get him to reciprocate her feelings naturally. The trouble was that she had no idea how to go about it. And that was where we came in. It would probably be the quickest if you just tell him how you feel directly, the Prez pointed out. Susan, however, shook her head at the suggestion. I can't. How about a letter then? I suggested. The Prez nodded. That's right. Love letters can work wonders. They're a fantastic way to convey your feelings. I see. I'll try to write something. With that, Susan retreated into a corner of the room and began rummaging around. She came back with a calligraphy set, laid out a blank sheet of calligraphy paper, and dipped her brush into the ink. What with the contents of the room and Susan's armored appearance, seeing her draft a message with a brush of ink was a strikingly uncanny experience. An armored warrior writing with a brush and ink, she looked like one of those resentful spirits inescapably bound to a specific location. Her armor shone eerily under the light of lanterns. Quick, someone call an exorcist. This house is haunted. Susan? Wouldn't it be better to use a normal pen and paper? What are you writing there? I inquired nervously, sweat dripping down my face. A love letter, right? A love letter. Though this missive may reach thee unforeseen, I pray that thou puttest thy heart at ease. Hold on. What language is that? I blurted out when Susan began to recite what she had just written. Japanese, of course. It means not to worry because it's nothing too serious. No, you can't write it that way. You only confuse him. No one in this day and age will be able to understand any of that. And no one writes with a brush anymore either. What is this, the Sengoku period? Why does your letter have to be like something from 500 years ago? And it doesn't make sense to say it's nothing too serious. It's a confession of love, right? It doesn't sound like you're really interested in him. If you don't come out with it and tell him that you care, he'll just think it's some anonymous curse or something. My outburst must have come as a shock to Susan, as she fell to the floor with an audible crash. I don't know how to write any other way. What? You're saying that you came to Japan as an exchange student and haven't learned how to write normal Japanese? Heck, you could just write it in English then. You're an exchange student after all. He'll be so happy that he got a letter that he'll have someone translate it if he has to. But then why did I even come to Japan? Japanese men are supposed to be descended from samurai. I want to go out with a noble warrior. Someone who excels in manners and etiquette. Susan was done for. I had to do something, and quickly. This girl was an extreme case. One of those foreigners who made their way to Japan, all on a flawed preconception of what modern society actually was. This went way beyond a mere cultural mix-up. I haven't met so much of a single samurai since I came here either. I thought there would be at least one in this town. No, even the president made a spectacular misunderstanding. Hey, there are no samurai wandering the streets in ultra-modern Japan. The only person who would openly brandish a sword is this college girl in this very room. Just who was the person who captivated Susan? Don't tell me it was a burly warrior type guy or something. I suppose I won't need this then. Susan let out a resigned sigh as she stroked the string of her bow. You were planning to fix the letter to an arrow? Susan, if you shoot that at him, you'll be arrested immediately. It'll be an international incident. I could envision the newspaper headlines. Love letter sharpshooter, reviewed as armored female exchange student. I could even imagine her statement to the media. It would be something like, I wanted to conquer his heart. The news would talk about it for days, one endless commentary after another. Oh, I thought it was normal to attach love letters to arrows here in Japan. Yeah, maybe 100 years ago. Times are different now. This is the Heisei era, okay? It isn't the Azuchi Momoyama period anymore. If we had a time machine, maybe we could send you back 500 years. Susan was one unfortunate individual, having been born in the wrong country and year. I cradled my head in my arms, not knowing what else to do. The Prez let out a sigh. I suppose there's no other choice. We'll spend the night teaching you how to write a proper confession. And so, I spent the night at Susan's place. As romantic as that sounded, she was an armored warrior, and the Prez was with us too. I felt like weeping. A few days later, the Prez and I were standing on one corner of the park. Across from us was a military encampment, filled with flags and banners all emblazoned with some family crest. In the center of it all was an armored warrior sitting on a simple chair. It should go without saying that it was Susan. After a lot of trouble, she had successfully completed her love letter and handed it over to the man in question. It was here, in this park, where the target of her affection would apparently deliver his response. I was interested in seeing what would come of this for myself, and Susan had requested that we keep an eye on things. Thus, the President and I made our way here to witness this historic event. Seriously though, what was Susan thinking? Establishing an old-fashioned samurai outpost as a way of confessing? I had no words to describe this radical course of action. At this point, as far as I was concerned, she could do whatever she pleased. Mommy, what's that? Children visiting the park asked their mothers what was going on. Don't stare. As soon as the parents laid eyes on that intimidating sight, they hurriedly unsheared their kids away. Yeah, you should do as you're told. You're better off not witnessing this, if you want to become decent adults yourself one day. Oh my, they must be filming a historical drama, dear. An old couple was watching from the bench, completely mistaking the situation for a film set. I was more interested in the identity of Susan's crush. What kind of guy was he? Would he be a splendid Sengoku period warrior? Susan herself was visibly trembling in her suit of armor. She must have been nervous, but watching her from over here, she just looked creepy. This was a bizarre spectacle to behold in open daylight. This looks like him. I followed the Prez's line of sight and spotted a figure approaching from the distance. There was a sound of metal rubbing against metal. I heard this noise before. The figure approaching from afar was dressed in a complete set of Western armor. He carried a conical lance in his right hand, and his left was a large shield, and an iron helmet encased his entire head. I dropped to the ground, face in my palms. I didn't know how to respond to this. Seriously, what was going on? This deviant was dressed like a full-on knight, complete with weapons that were clearly in violation of the firearm and sword possession control law. Prez, can I go home now? Not yet. Let's see what happens. This is amazing. A collaboration between a samurai and a knight. I'm not interested in that kind of partnership, I cried out. The Prez, however, looked to be enjoying herself. Well, hold on. When I looked closely, I spotted an arrow stuck in the side of the knight's helmet. Was that a direct hit to his brain? He was a real-life arrow knight. Susan, he's been hit with an arrow. He isn't a defeated soldier. He's a knight fleeing from the battlefield. Yes, I gave it a lot of thought, but I ultimately decided that an arrow was the only way to deliver my letter. You could have just handed it to him. Use your head. Why not mail it? But you launch an all-out attack on him? That's what this is. An instant kill. An arrow to the head. That's assault is what it is. Why do you think he's carrying a lance? It is such a wonderful lance, Susan remarked, fidgeting from side to side. What's she doing? Letting herself be enchanted by weapons designed to tear people apart? What's that strange personality of hers? What this guy found charming? Damn it. Why did all my clients have to end up being so weird? As I cursed my fate when it came to doing business, the knight paced over to Susan. With a loud clamor, he strode straight into her encampment. From a distance, it looked like a battle was about to unfold. The knight positioned himself before my client, who similarly rose to her feet and squared off against him. I could feel the hostility and murderous intent from my spawn on the sidelines. The space between the pair felt like it was positively warping from the powerful fighting spirit they exuded. No one witnessing this could possibly deduce that it was a love confession. It had to be a duel. The knight plunged his lance into the ground and pulled something from his armor. A letter. This letter. I have read your words. I see. The armored warrior was squirming in anxiety. Quit it, insane historical recreation. This was the most frightening thing I've ever seen. Susan's innocent young lady demeanor, sealed within the terrifying samurai getup, was the worst of all. It's a wonderful love letter, delivered by an arrow with an unmistakable finesse. For me to have let down my guard against this attack. Yes, it was a great strike. Uh-huh. Wonderful. Uh-huh. Was this Western-style knight all right in the head? All I've been able to think about was loosing that arrow at you, Hori. That's what's been on her mind. Shooting someone with a deadly weapon? What a thing to admit. Hold on, Hori. Is that the name of her target? Hori, the armored knight? If I'm good enough, I would be happy to go out with you. Oh my. He actually gave a positive response. Hori didn't mean to go into battle though, right? That would be my first guess at the implication. Hori. Thank you. Susan's voice began to waver. There was no telling for certain, but it sounded like she was crying. Susan. The Western Star Knight took her in his arms, embracing her gently. They were both fully armored, of course, so all I could hear was the ragged sound of metal against metal. Just what kind of scene was this? I can't wait to talk to you about the Book of Five Rings that you mentioned in your letter. Yes, I've wanted to discuss Miyamoto Musashi's school of swordsmanship with you for so long. The two armor-clad figures began to leave the park, hand in hand. Thank you so much, you two. Susan called out, waving to me and the Prez. The Prez responded with a warm smile. To think that she could react to such a bizarre display with such poise. Reyes was amazing. Thus, a new deviant couple was born before her very eyes. Sometime afterward, I received a photograph of an armored warrior and a knight. Apparently, Susan and Hori were getting along well. Not long after, there was a special feature on TV about a collection of urban ghost stories titled Armored Warriors and Knights Seen on the Streets of at Night. Please stop with the late night dates, Susan. I don't want to know any more about this scandal. The cost of Susan's lovey-dovey campaign, no, her lovey-dovey stratagem, was the lance that Hori had been carrying. It now decorated the corner of the club room. Every now and then, I saw Kiba, who was familiar with Western weapons, taking it in his hands. Despite the bumps along the way, I was glad to see the job through to completion. For a while, it seemed certain that things would fall apart. Anyway, my attention had been squarely focused on the Prez's breasts recently. After my first successful pact, they were all I could think about. At last, finally, she would let me touch them, squeeze them, enjoy them. I was drooling in expectations. I couldn't stop grinning. Today, the Prez and I were alone in the club room. The other members were nowhere to be seen. This was my chance. I needed to work up the courage to cash in. With resolution in my heart, I approached the Prez. "What is it, Issei?" she said with a graceful smile. Posing the question to someone so cute was going to make me feel super guilty. Yet, after a deep swallow, I laid my determination bare. Prez, that promise that we made the other day, what do you think? What promise? The Prez flashed me a mischievous smile. She knew. She knew exactly what I meant. It was obvious that she was enjoying this, making me say it specifically. You know, your breasts. Yes, I know. You don't need to look so serious, Issei. So she claimed, but this was a matter of life and death to me. The Prez stood up from the sofa, standing proudly before me. Very well. I'm going to start counting. Until I reach 5, my breasts are yours. Let's go, shall we? 1. What? What's going on? 5. This is happening so fast. 2. We had already reached 2. This was bad. She had started counting before I was ready. Why? At this rate, I wouldn't be able to touch them at all. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my thoughts. Get a grip, Issei. You should have been ready. Touch them, squeeze them, rub them as long as you can. 3. 3? I'm almost out of time. Maybe I should start with the right one, or the left one. I didn't have time to debate with myself. Ultimately, I decided to go for both at once. I raised my hands into the air when the club room door suddenly swung open. Issei, did you get here early? Sorry we're late. Me too. Man, all of that cleaning sure took a while. Azuya, Akano, Konoko, and Kiba had all entered the room. Oh dear. Were you in the middle of something? Akano inquired, staring at me and the Prez with a soft smile. Yes, but we're finished now. Sorry, Issei. Never before had crueler words reached my ears. Why? I cried silently. Had she finished counting while I was preoccupied with everyone else? How could have this happened? I fell onto the floor in disappointment. A chance to touch real-life breasts, and now... The other club members stared at me with evident suspicion. The Prez merely let out an amused chuckle. How could this happen? I'd helped that bizarre armored loving couple, and yet my reward, my prize. The Prez crouched down beside me, stroking my head. You're an amusing one, Issei. Did you want to touch my chest that much? Of course I did. Before I could finish, the Prez embraced me. It happened so quickly that it took a second for my thoughts to catch up. Then, how about I hold you like this for a while? She spoke, as though counseling a child. Faced with the warmth of her body, I could feel my face turning bright red. Everyone else was watching, after all. Try again next time, Issei. My cute little servant. When I heard those words, my brain all but exploded with joy. Yeah, I knew it. The press was the best. I would never forget this feeling. With the press's guidance, I would strive for a great success as a demon. As determination filled my heart, I savored her generous hug.